Welcome to the Nairn County Podcast, which is brought to you in association with our digital partner Ziyen Energy, the leading blockchain software and digitalization experts leading the field in emerging technologies related to oil and gas tokenization. For more, go to ziyen.com. So it's Ian Finlayson for the Nairn County Podcast, and I am delighted to be sitting up at Station Park and joined by a Nairn County legend and a friend of mine, Mr. Richard Konczak. Hello Richie, how are you doing?
Not bad, Finn, yourself?
I'm not bad at all. Thank you for coming up and joining us.
It's my pleasure, my pleasure.
So what I thought we'd do, Richie, is just talk through your association, your love of the club, and pick out some of the highlights. One, of course, springs to mind a particular season.
Yes, that certainly does.
But I wanted to talk to you about just the whole journey, if you like, of you and Nairn County. So let's go back to the very beginning. What's your first recollections of this place?
My first recollections is when I was 8 years old. My brother took me to see a Nairn County match, and it was a Wednesday night, Nairn versus Elgin City. It was a League Cup match, and there was over 2,000 of a crowd there. It was incredible. I was totally gobsmacked by the crowd, the atmosphere. I absolutely loved it. And the strange thing was, at half time, I turned to my brother and I said, "Nairn are doing well." He said, "What do you mean?" And I says, "Well, we're 2-0 up." He says, "Elgin City are in the black and white stripes." He said, "We're in the red." We were 2-0 down at half time, so I supported the right team in the second half, and we ended up actually winning 3-2, so that was a good sign. But ever since then, I just fell in love with the club, and I came to watch him quite regularly after that, and I was so fortunate in that it just coincided with the best team that never won the league, the 60s team with Davy Johnson, Chicky, Alec Bowman, Jim Cameron, Tommy Sanderson, Andy Cadenhead, and of course
Legends,
my hero, Kenny McKenzie.
The great Kenny McKenzie, but
Yes.
a great keeper that man was.
Yeah, I mean, I must admit, the first time I saw Kenny play, I was just astounded. I just watched him. He used to be prancing up and down his goal line, just a wee keeper too, 5'7".
He wasn't big for the keeper.
5'8". Chewing his gum. He always chewed his gum. In the sunny times, he had his brown corduroy cap on, and I used to think, wow, and he just, well, knowing him later, he had more charisma in his little finger than I had in my whole body. He was just an amazing character, Kenny. And
Still is to this day, isn't he?
Oh, he is, yeah. And I just, as soon as I saw him, I wanted to be a goalkeeper. But no, I loved watching Nairn in the 60s.
What sort of attendances were in those days, actually? What size of crowds?
To be honest, they were always over 1,000, really. They're huge, of course. We didn't have other things to do, like computers and like that. So it was almost like a community thing, going to the football on the Saturday. Sure. And with the players they had then, it was just fantastic. It was a great atmosphere. The whole town was buzzing, So brilliant.
So you've fallen in love with the team, like many of us. We can recall our first games. What's your first association with playing football? And did you play welfare before? How did you come in?
Well, obviously I played school football for Alderm Primary School initially for 4 years. Okay. Centre half I was. Believe it or not, they wouldn't let me play in goals even though I wanted to, because any player that could play had to play outfield. They just put the duffer in goals. So I had to play outfield for Alderm Primary. Then when I went to the academy, they asked me what position I played in. I said goalkeeper, and from then on I played in goals. And really, I think it was a third year in academy. I got selected for the Murray and Nairn Select and in the North of Scotland under 15 schools. And one night I was at home in Both Park, and the doorbell went, and I went out, and who was there but Eric Geddes, the great Eric Geddes.
Legendary coach of Nairn County.
And of course I was just, whoa, what's Eric Geddes doing at my door? And anyway, Eric sat with me and he said, "Oh, we've been watching you and we want you to come up to training and sign schoolboy forms for us."
Yeah.
Well, I mean, heck, I couldn't believe this. Nairn County want me to come up to training. So obviously, I was up at training.
Yes, okay.
And what I loved about it was the first day I was up, first person that came over to me was Kenny McKenzie.
Oh my word.
And he took me aside, he gave me specialised goalkeeping training. He really bummed me up, if you like. He could see I was just a quiet lad that wasn't really that confident.
Must have been intimidating for you.
Oh,
yes.
Incredible. I mean, the honour, of being in the same dressing room as these guys was just unreal. But Kenny was he was really like a big brother to me. He just showed me everything about goalkeeping, and I was just chuffed out of my mind,
Yeah. Tell us a bit about Eric in those days, because Eric is legendary at Station Park for so many years. What was he like as a coach?
As a coach
in the first instance.
In those days, they called them trainers.
Yes.
There was no such thing as a coach or a manager.
Am I thinking the committee picked the team?
The committee picked a team, but I'm pretty certain that Eric had a big say in it. Because Eric was, he was the best known trainer in the Highland League. Eric was a fantastic man. He was like a second father to me, Eric. And I remember when I just turned 15, it was August 1969, and once again the doorbell went. And who was there but Eric Geddes? And Eric came and says, Kenny's got the flu. You're in tomorrow's team against Rothes at home. And the excitement. I just couldn't believe it. I was just over the moon. I didn't sleep a wink at night. I was just so excited. Couldn't wait to get out. And even just coming out of the dressing room, it was wonderful. And of course, we ended up winning that game 9-0, which is still, I think, Nairn's highest win. So that was an amazing debut, I think. I think the late great Charlie Kennedy got 4 of the goals that day.
Oh, for heaven's sake.
And I remember at the end of the game, Eric came up to me. I'd hardly anything to do, to be honest. I think I had one save and a pass back to field or something like that. And Eric came up to me and held his hand up and shook my hand. I thought, there's something in Eric's hand. And I had a look and it was £2 notes.
Oh, wow.
And I says to Eric, "What's this for?" He says, "Expenses, son, expenses." And I just thought to myself, I'm actually playing for Nairn County and they're paying me for it. It was, wow. It was great. And that season, obviously Kenny was a first team goalie. There was no getting away from that. But I had about a dozen games when Kenny was either injured or Kenny was sick, or in a couple of occasions we were so short of players, Kenny played up front. So I had about a dozen games as a 15-year-old that year. Of course, I had to play for the school in the mornings first. It was you had to play for the school in the mornings, then Nairn in the afternoon. I did that for 2 seasons. But it was wonderful. It was wonderful. And in fact, one of my early games was against Forres at Mossett Park. And I had a really good first half in particular, where I had a few good saves and all that. And we ended up losing 2-1 at the end of the day. And I remember that evening I always went to Downey's beside the post office for the green final.
Willie Downey's, is that right?
Yeah. And the green final used to always report in the first half of games. And I had a look at the green final when I got out of Downey's, and there in the headlines was "Konczak is tops for Nairn." I'll always remember that. Konczak spelt totally wrongly, of course, but I didn't care. And I remember running all the way home to Both Park to show my mum and dad. It was something else,
So how many seasons did you have under Eric?
Eric was, let's see, I think it was a season before Innes and George came. That was when Eric fell ill. He was terminally ill that season, and so it was about 3 seasons with Eric. And Eric was just an amazing guy. His philosophy was, and I remember them saying this more than once: "Right, lads, go out there, enjoy yourselves. If they score 3, let's get 4."
Sweet.
And the guys out there just seemed to enjoy their football. There's no pressure on them, and it was great for the fans as well.
And you mentioned that Kenny McKenzie was helping out with specialist goalkeeping tips and things like that. What sort of training did goalkeepers have back in back at that time?
It was quite tough, actually. I remember one in particular where I used to lie in my front, and he used to throw the ball to the side. You used to have to pick yourself up and throw yourself, save it, then back down your front. Used to throw it so you're down, up, down, up, down, up all the time. And various other. I don't remember them all, to be honest. I mean, I think I was too dumbstruck, to be honest. Kenny training me. But he certainly looked after me, and he always built me up. I remember him even saying to me, the son, they'll soon be choosing you before me. And of course I just...
What a great way to be.
I thought, don't be absurd. You're far too good for that. However, a couple of years after that, I remember when I was 17, I think I got chosen for the Highland League select in front of Kenny. And I saw Kenny a while after that, and he says, "Told you, son."
Absolutely. So what we'll do is we'll draw this first part to an end. The Nairn County Podcast is brought to you in association with our digital partners, Ziyen Energy. Click on Ziyen.com to find out more.